Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a fire show. I mean, talk about the gaming news gods just delivering one big bomb after another. We got South Korea approving the deal with no concessions. Not a surprise there. We have the CMA getting smacked down by the cat right now, happening live, and it appears that this is going to move a lot quicker than originally thought, because the CMA tried to get this thing to slow down. I have a quote that was put out there by Post Up, and Florian Muller, obviously, FOSS Patents, has been keeping us abreast. You could have watched it yourself because it was televised, which I did not know it was going to happen, but it did. We also have Street Fighter reviews. We have reviews coming for Diablo IV. I mean, two big games, and I think we can probably sneak something else in there. But let's get into the introductions, because holy cow, there's a lot to talk about. Retri, what's going on, brother? How you feeling?
I'm tired. I'm not gonna lie.
You do sound a little low.
I'm so exhausted today. I might have been up between, I don't know, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning last night.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
That'll do it. Idiot. I'm too old to be doing shit like that. But yeah, I might be dragging a little bit. I might need help. We couldn't remember the video game that we all loved and played, like in the green room. Like, oh my god, I was thinking it was Prometheus. It was Proteus. So yeah, I'm outside of that, I'm doing good. Boom, and obviously gaming a lot. I finally finished Redfall thanks to some of my buddies helping me out last night.
Nice.
I couldn't beat the last boss by myself, so I needed to call in the troops. But yeah, I'm doing good. Excited to talk about the topics today, and I'll do my best to keep up with y'all. So
yeah, I think you're gonna be just fine. That last boss was troublesome because you got one of every boss bad guy in it. Yeah, it was definitely tough. But folks, if you want to know what's on your screen before we start getting questions in the chat, and by the way, we got almost 300 people here. Holy cow, that's crazy. It is Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun, and I'm here to freaking tell you that if you're not buying this game, I don't know what to tell you. It came out of nowhere. It is like the game that Retro had mentioned earlier. That's not Proteus from last year.
Yeah. Awesome.
Phenomenal game. There is melee combat with a chainsaw, as you saw in the opening, and there's a ton of guns. I found 4 of the 8 guns. It is fast paced. It is simply brilliant. It's on Xbox Live right now. I think it's on sale. It's like $18. Absolutely well worth it. I got 3 hours of recorded footage. I've probably put about 6 hours into it, and I'm still trying to finish Planet of Lana. I'm still trying to finish Zelda. It's just, and of course Street Fighter. I did buy Street Fighter. Yes, I did buy Diablo. I just don't know when I'm gonna have the time. But listen, we got a lot to get into. Daniel McGee, the best main in the business. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good, Peter. I haven't really played as many games this week as I wanted to. It's been a lot of just kind of writing and doing work, but
okay, all right.
Such is life, unfortunately.
Indeed it is. But you know what we did learn, gentlemen, before we get to Umbra, apparently first-party games don't matter. And if you want to know who I'm talking about, well, of course I'm talking about Colin Moriarty out there talking that talk as he normally does. And like I said, I'm a fan of Colin. I like his libertarian style is not really mine. But we did learn that because PlayStation has such a poor showing, that it's now okay, folks. The pendulum has now shifted. Yep. That it's okay for Sony to put out only 2 AAA first-party games per year. But hey, you know what? What PlayStation does, I guess the whole industry does as well. But Umbra, not being messy. How you doing, dude? What's going on?
Were you being messy or truthful?
You know what? Maybe the truth is messy.
The truth hurts.
Yeah, the truth can be messy. That's true. It does. No, I'm in the same boat as Retri, actually. But I got a bit of a nap before we started. And somehow the gaming guys woke me up right before, and I got on here with you guys. So that's good timing. No, man, I'm actually happy to be here with you guys to talk about things today. I think it's going to be an interesting discussion. We got some good news today too. With some releases of reviews and such like that for a few good games that I know everybody's going to be hyped to play soon.
Yeah, obviously, it's pretty, normally, we're coming into the summer, so usually releases seem to kind of slow down. Not so much for 2023. And of course, closing out the month of May, we have Street Fighter 6, which is currently sitting at a 92 meta. And that's pretty crazy because obviously Street Fighter 5 came out, obviously was a PlayStation 4 exclusive. Even though the character models looked amazing, the gameplay was broken. It was broken for over a year before they were able to get this stuff together. No single player story content for a while. It wasn't good. Well, apparently Capcom, who has been just hitting on all switches, folks, has done it again. And of course, Diablo 4. I mean, what could you say? I wasn't originally sold on it because, like I said, Mrs. Boom and I, we got to level 8 and it just didn't grab us. But I went out and canceled that pre-order. And then when the second beta came out, I was like, the bug got me. So there you go. I went and bought the $100 edition, and here we are. So
yeah,
but we are going to open up, folks.
I think you'll like it. I think you guys will like it after you.
I think we're going to like it also. I think because we didn't learn how to pull the camera back or push it in a little closer, and there's a lot of things we didn't get, and obviously, it's a beta, so some things didn't work, and it frustrated us a bit. And now that the game is ours, we're gonna give it the old college effort. But Umbra, I want to start with you because the breaking news from this morning comes away of post up on, of course, Twitter and Foss Patents, who DM'd me this morning confirming that South Korea has in fact approved the deal. This is now the 39th country, Umbra, to pass the deal. And on the same day, which we're going to get to in the second part of the conversation, the CMA kind of getting told about themselves by the cat. And that obviously was televised, and man, a lot of the CMA's arguments are like Swiss cheese. As a matter of fact, one particular argument that continues to wreak its ugly head is the conversation that seems to have been lost. There's no documents, there's no written conversation between what the CMA and head of the FTC, Lena Khan, had to say. And I'm starting to kind of smell illegal. But let's get to Korea. Again, South Korea may not be the biggest Xbox place yet, but we do know that they're big on cloud. They're big on mobile. Microsoft wants to get in there. Them approving the deal sends a strong message to the two proponents that seem to be holding this up, and that is the CMA and the FTC. What are your thoughts on this? Another approval.
That's good. I mean, it's Korea's FTC. I saw some people kind of confused it. They were like, "Oh, the FTC approved? What's going on then? Why don't you have
the KFC?
Yeah, right.
The KFTC.
Yeah.
The KFC.
Yeah, KFC approved this. General Fried Chicken.
You're looking good. There you go.
No, yeah, I mean, I think it's just more evidence, and I know the lawyers that are, the Beard and so on and so forth, who our Microsoft lawyers used this in court today. They were talking about how, everybody else is approving the deal, and basically the CMA are trying to hold things up, more or less. They're the sole like outlier as far as them and FTC are like the sole outliers who are trying to hold the thing up. And even in court today when they talked about it, I don't know, are we talking about that right now, Boom? Or I'll wait. But basically, more or less, this is just more evidence to say that the CMA's position is wrong, and everybody else seems to be on the top of this being an okay thing. And I mean, I think it's going to bear out at the end of the day.
Yeah, I will say that one of the things I learned having Florian on the show is he has made it his business to point out that there are some experts. Obviously everyone's entitled to their opinion. I don't agree with their opinions. I didn't agree with their opinions even before we got the confirmation from Florian, who basically stated in simple logic that the way it was described as the CMA being the end all be all and that cat can't do anything is inherently incorrect. As a matter of fact, if the because console harm retry has been removed from the conversation. So now we know they tried to hang their hats on cloud, which we know they got wrong again. And if it's disproved, which it seems like that's already happening at the hearing today, it does not have to go back to the CMA. As a matter of fact, the ruling can be made by CAT, which is something that it appeared that that might be the case because I got a quote here from Post Up, and he goes on to say, folks, he says this on his official Twitter account. For some reason, and we can assume why the CMA is doing its best to try and prolong this appeal, but Justice Smith is not having it. The case or argument is that of facts and a strong foundation. Why try to prolong it? And they try to push the envelope to get this thing to drag, and it's not happening. Retry. It seems to be. It was, and I have another quote over here that I want to bring up, where it actually. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I think I sent it over. Yeah, this is what gets very. This is where the rubber hits the road, so to speak, folks. The CAT judge stated this. We are not trying to run a script of what we ordinarily would do, but want to get this done as fast as possible. We aren't here to do what always has been done, but we are here to make sure this is done right. I don't know, man. To me, that's taking shots at the CMA. I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
I think the judge is correct in just saying you guys have already crapped on this deal. You should know what your arguments are. Why do you need all this extra time to prepare when you've technically already prepared, right? You should be there shouldn't be technically new evidence coming in from the CMA for these hearings or for any judicial review. It should be the same reasons that you tried to stomp it in the first place. It's Microsoft who has to sit here and basically say why the cloud argument is BS and why Microsoft seems to be going in a direction, we'll probably get into this too, of not necessarily going after the math, which is what I thought they were gonna probably do, and maybe they still will, because I know they want to bring in some economic experts to basically crush what the CMA has come up with when it comes to their cloud gaming monopoly, the 60 to 70% BS that I think is just complete crap. But it seems like they're going after the actual definition of this market itself, like the actual entirety of cloud gaming and the market and how it's defined by the CMA. And I think that they might be going in that direction. But I can tell you, on the CMA side, they're probably panicking because these morons decided to have their lawyer, who I guess is their lawyer is Williams, has only been involved in this for 2 days.
Yeah.
knowing what Microsoft said right after they killed, CMA, tried to kill this, that there was going to be appeal. Why wouldn't the CMA have their lawyers ready a month ago? It makes no sense. So it's doesn't. Like, what are you doing? Like, why do you have a lawyer that's literally just involved with 2 days experience? I mean, now we know why, if you've been watching this thing, the guy's stuttering like crazy because he's got no effing clue what's going on.
Yeah.
He was
Microsoft, he was stuttering. It was.
He's like, my crumpets. The
Microsoft lawyer is looking so good. Like, there's gonna be memes of the Microsoft lawyer versus the Mr. Williams. There's going to be memes, folks. It's coming, because holy moly, was it was hard to watch. So I think they're scrambling. I think their CMA is just going all crap. Like, this is actually happening, where we're gonna have to like really refute this and prove our points. And their points are not very solid in my opinion. So I
Yeah,
think,
you know what? I'm sorry
things
because
could
I'm
turn
here. I'm
around.
here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know that I jumped right into into the CMA, which I got to hand it back over to Umbra in a second. But let's Retro, while we have you on the mic, I'm interested to get your take on Korea because I do see
Mm-hmm.
some pushback from some community members, which I'm a little surprised with. That it's just Korea. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that per se.
Well,
But it's the 39th country that said, "Hey, this deal is okay." And it's I think the 37th or 38th that says no concessions required, which is a big freaking deal, dude.
I think the no concessions thing is a little is actually kind of surprising me sometimes when I hear it over and over and over again. But at the same time, I don't necessarily disagree with people saying South Korea by itself isn't a big deal because of the market share for Xbox and Blizzard and Activision games there is just ridiculously small. So personally for South Korea, this wouldn't move the needle in any capacity, whatever happens, if there was
One way or the
exclusivity,
other.
they've said it themselves, right? They're basically, all these guys are supposed to do their own, investigation anyways. That's literally what South Korea did. And they realized, yeah, we don't care. You could be exclusive for the rest of your life. It doesn't seem to move the needle over here and over there in South Korea, which is exactly what all these regulators are supposed to do instead of listening to everyone else's concerns across the pond or in the United States and deciding what they're going to do based on what other people are deciding what to do. They're supposed to just worry about their own country and what's going on and possible global their global economy, which the UK has clearly ignored with the CMA. But I think what's nice about this is it's compounding, right? We kind of saw this coming where there was going to be a ton of people that the dominoes were going to fall, right? And the dominoes are falling left and right. We're at we're 39th that have agreed to pass this thing or allow this thing. And we're going to see more whenever the heck Canada and everyone else's dates come up. I'm not quite sure when those are.
I think next week is New Zealand.
Yeah,
is next week.
Which I'm sure New
Canada
Zealand
should be coming up as
will
well.
be fine. I have no doubt about that. So it's another notch in the ballot. It's another great argument for Microsoft to say the world is saying it's okay. You guys are alone, and here's why the world agreed with us and why you're wrong. So it's more good news. It's more ammo for Microsoft to use. So I'm not surprised, but it's good for Microsoft, especially when they're live right now, still in the middle of this thing, during the hearing. So it's all good in my opinion.
I agree. A couple people in the chat says South Korea is a tech giant that comes away of no Exus BLD. He says it's a giant win. But just imagine this for a second, folks. Could you imagine that if this deal does go through, and I think we all believe it's going to go through, before I hand it back to Umbra, and they release a new StarCraft in Korea? I'm just saying that if I'm not talking about the world, I'm just saying in that region of the world, StarCraft is king, and you know that they're probably working on one. They drop that into Korea, it is going to be game over, literally and figuratively. There's no doubt about it. But let's hand this back over to Umbra. Let's talk because Sleepy got someone said it. I'm trying to find who it was because the chat is going really quick. Someone said about the stuttering man is it's hard to watch. Oh, real quick, shout out to Lady Foxfire. This is Warhammer 40K bolt gun. It's $18 on Xbox Live right now. It's freaking phenomenal. But let's get back to the CMA, the stuttering mess. I like I said, I haven't watched it. I was doing some things, so I didn't get a chance to watch. I am going to watch it. I did not know, Umbra, that the lawyer only had two days on the job. It sounds like complete madness to me, but maybe the CMA isn't the boogeyman that we thought that they were. I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts on the CMA getting curb stomped live on the air?
It's funny. I mean, we already knew that their position was, silly to
weak
begin with.
sauce to begin with.
Weak
Yeah.
sauce,
Absolutely. But I think this is even more funny because it's more or less like Retri said. It's like you all knew this was coming up. You knew this was going to happen. You knew that you're going to appear before the tribunal. Why only 2 days that you have this like prepared? Why didn't you have this prepared before that? Why didn't you get a more capable lawyer or whomever that you needed to represent you in this situation? All of it seems
Never mind,
hilarious.
they want like more than double the triple the time to prepare than Microsoft
Exactly.
themselves,
So
which
they
is
tried to
absolutely
argue.
BS.
They tried to argue we need at
Well, it's
least
not.
2 or 3 months or whatever. And
Mhm.
Microsoft pointed
Yeah,
out
it's not that they want
factually they
more
only needed
time for
4
themselves. It's that they want to wait until after the
Solid.
FTC goes in August. Like
Yeah.
that's very
100%.
clearly what they're doing. Like
That
it's
is
They're trying to
absolutely-
delay.
delay.
They've mentioned the FTC like multiple times during this. Like,
Yeah,
holy
they
crap! Like, dude,
And I think that
what are you
pointed more
doing?
so as well to the fact that the FTC and them kind of colluded in a way because they keep trying to go back to well, the FTC is not coming out until then, but that has no bearing on you though. But
Yeah.
also too, they mentioned other people. They try to bring in Canada. They try to bring up New Zealand, like you mentioned a minute ago with New Zealand. But Canada's situation handles a little bit differently because they could have already processed it and okayed the deal, but you might not know factually yet, as Microsoft's lawyer pointed out. Also, too, like you said, they want to try to drag this out until August or whatever it may be, or to the fall. And in August would be where the CMA doesn't even hold hearings in August, so that means it would have to fall into the fall by default. And like you all pointed out, Microsoft had to get their stuff prepared within 4 weeks to respond to the CMA situation. Now the CMA is arguing we should be able to get more time versus 4 weeks like Microsoft did. How does that make sense? It's not fair. So you get to get months, we get 4 weeks. Yeah, it's not in their favor right there alone already. And the judge, like you pointed out, Boom, Judge Smith seems to be much like everybody else that we've seen, be it the
logical.
Well, that too, but be it the what they call the prime minister and everybody else. Well, not the prime minister necessarily. He didn't really speak on that, but what's the parliament, where they kind of seem to be leaning towards Microsoft's side here. The judge is also definitely on the agreement with it needing to be expedited. He doesn't see a reason why it should be extended out, until then. He says it seems to be in everybody's best interest to get it done now, or as soon as possible.
Never mind, they have other case. Yeah, I mean, he kind of was alluding to that they have a bunch of other cases that if this was to get pushed back in like August or September, October, that they would be overwhelmed and they couldn't get it done. So he's pushing them to do it because they got other crap to do. You know what I mean?
Well, it kind of helps that Microsoft has, I don't know, facts. And it's just, again, listen, I get it. There's different ideologies on how you, but when what I think aggravates me is the CMA got it wrong with the console SLC with the numbers. They were so off that it was embarrassing. And now I don't understand how we come to the 60 or 70%. I don't think that Kat sees this as well. And they're like, where are these numbers coming from? Did you do the homework or did you copy from the knucklehead sitting in the back? Because that's what it seems like. Let's bring in Daniel. Daniel, we're going to cover, this is going to be, so I mean, again, we're going to cover both topics. If you want to start off with Korea, like I said, I think people poo-pooing the Korea thing is not really, I don't want to say small-minded. I think you're only looking through a keyhole rather than opening the entire door and looking at the bigger picture, because Korea, in that region of the world, Microsoft, they are one of the biggest mobile capitalists when it comes to gaming. And I don't know, Microsoft getting King, it's a big deal. And like I said, if they are smart, and I mean Microsoft and Activision, they are either working on a new mainline StarCraft, or they're working on a mobile StarCraft that they can launch into that country that is basically going to just print freaking money. And then we'll get
You're speaking my language there.
So I
would love a new StarCraft of any kind, really.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think
let's talk Korea, and then we'll get into the CMA's shenanigans.
Yeah, so I do think Korea is important. So I think it's a big deal on that front. I I can kind of understand people saying otherwise, just by merits of I don't think there was really any risk of them blocking it. You know what I mean? Like, I think we've seen a lot of the sort of like smaller countries just sort of pass it without restriction because we already know, like when China did it, right? Is they were like, okay, well, we don't need to put any more restrictions on it because the ones that the EU put on it applied globally. So like anything that we would add would just kind of be unnecessary at this point. So they sort of waited for that and then put that through. And I think South Korea is sort of in the same boat. And I think we're going to see a lot of the other ones go the same direction. I don't know about Canada. I don't know where they sort of look to for guidance. But I think that they are probably waiting for somebody else, but we'll see. So it is a big deal in that Korea will be a big market for them, especially, assuming that the Blizzard deal goes through. But yeah, I don't find it surprising that they passed it, I guess would be my point. Mm-hmm. As far as the CMA goes, it's just a joke, right? Right now, I've got the stream pulled up and I was reading the subtitles on it because they're kind of mumbling and not using particularly great mics. But I've been trying to pay attention to it. It's just, on one hand, I do sort of feel bad for the judge, or not the judge, the lawyer that the CMA put in there, because he has only been here for like 2 days or something. And it's like, why didn't you guys already have somebody lined up for this? Like, this is ridiculous. So I do feel sort of bad for him. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, the CMA has been looking at this deal in one way or another for over a year now. Like, yes, you don't need more time, right? You took 18, 20 months, whatever it was. It felt like 20 months. I don't know what it was for real, to come to the conclusion to block it based on pretty weak merits. And if you can't find a way to defend it, then you shouldn't have come to that conclusion in the first place. And I think that's one of the issues that we're seeing between, like, the difference that we're seeing between the CMA and the FTC is the FTC have to be able to prove their point because it goes to court, right? The CMA can literally just be like, nah, and just move past it. And so now we're seeing what happens in the event that they are actually forced to defend their position. And they were not prepared for it because I think they thought they were just going to get away with it, and I think that's incredibly foolish of them to think that.
I think you're absolutely on something there.
Yeah, I don't think that they were expecting to have to defend it. I think that they were just going to, like, I think they knew that it was going to go to an appeal, but for some reason they must have thought that the cat and the government was not going to go this hard on them, which is, in my opinion, foolish. But here we are. There was a moment earlier where, because their whole like, they're not even really arguing against the case right now, as they're literally just trying to buy for time. Like, that's everything the person on the cat side or the CMA side has been doing this whole time has just been, can we push it to here? Can we push it to there? And there was a part where it cut back over to the Microsoft team and they're like trying to pitch closer dates. Like, he was saying like June 8th or something, like really soon. Like, hey, you guys can have a week, I guess. And there's just like 3 people in the background on the Microsoft side just actively laughing. And I'm like, yeah, that's the right opinion. That's the right feeling to be having right now, because this is a joke. Like, you've been working on this for so long, and your argument is you're not ready. Like, I'm sorry, if you show up to debate class and you don't have your debate ready, you lose.
You know, what's interesting? I just got an update, guys. It says here that the Microsoft lawyer just stated in court on the record, CMA did not approach any of the cloud providers on market definition or any questions. And apparently 4 cloud providers have come against the CMA market definition.
That's why they're going
after
the definition.
That was argued earlier. Yeah, that was argued earlier that the judge wanted to know the definition of the market. Yeah, and now hearing that as add to it. Yeah,
for the CMA to expand out on what their definition really is. He wants to understand it more, because I think that's what Microsoft's coming out.
What I will say too, what you just pointed out, Danny, and it just hit me, tinfoil hat style, Everborn Saga style. Maybe the fact that they put and assigned a lawyer who only had 2 days of work on this, maybe the CMA was doing it all in an effort to do more stalling. So maybe they felt the judge would be
It
more
does sort of
sympathetic.
feel like it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
I don't know if
sympathetic
they
to the
maybe
new
just
guy.
didn't
Yeah,
have
maybe.
a lawyer.
Or maybe
I
they
don't know
just
how
want
the
to point
CMA
and blame
works.
at him. Maybe he's the patsy. The CMA
be.
is like, well, it went through. Sorry.
Yep. And then
The
they'll
lawyer screwed
appeal.
it
Well,
up.
we only
They'll
had a
fire
lawyer,
him.
only had 2 days of notice and such. Maybe they could try to use that for more stalling.
Oh yeah, they're gonna. I mean, they're English, so they'll pull the soccer maneuver and they'll just throw themselves on the ground and pretend they got hurt. So that'll be the situation, I'm
You
sure.
heard that our
No,
English chat members.
Well, even our English, friends from across the pond have been against the CMA on this. I've gotten so many messages and DMs from like, boom, I'm embarrassed for my country because of this.
Yeah.
Aren't we
Clearly,
all?
I mean, one of the things that I'm wondering, and I'm waiting for, it hasn't happened, at least I haven't seen it yet, is when Microsoft brings up the fact that the guy that actually blocked this worked for Sony and for Google, the two proponents against this deal. I just think this thing stinks, folks. Look, I know that we've been talking about this and people are getting bored. I mean, me personally, folks, as someone that's been in gaming for over 40 years, I find this incredibly intriguing because I've never seen anything quite like this. I obviously come from a law enforcement background, so my meter on being a good guy is through the roof. Sick of the way some of the things have gone down, specifically with Sony. But I can say wholeheartedly, folks, that what I believe to be collusion in the most obvious way, the fact that Lena Khan was mentioned, the fact that there are no notes, because by law, they're supposed to record this. There's someone supposed to dictate this, and it's supposed to be available for if someone asks, what did you talk about? Here you go. Here's the documents. The fact that they don't have that, guys, I don't know, man. I just think this whole thing stinks. And I think that ultimately, because I know that we have some experts in the gaming community that are, are attorneys that have worked with and against the CMA, and they say that CMA is God and they're God tier and nothing could be done against them. I say this: the CMA hasn't lost until they lose, and I think this is going to be one of those situations for a lot of reasons outside of PlayStation box versus Xbox box that they're going to lose, and they're going to lose in the most embarrassing fashion, I think. I mean, just based on what has happened today, I don't understand what is going on at the CMA. I think that maybe they started to smell their own S, and they thought that, we can't be challenged. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I don't know. And you guys want to add anything to before we?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've kind of covered it for now, but more or less, it just seems like the CMA is stalling. I think we can all agree. I think the judge noticed it, and the judge is, to me, I think the judge and everybody else who seems to be in government over there, if you're noticing, all of them seem to be siding against the CMA. Yep. Like the tone is against them, So I think it's just a matter of, and maybe that word was sent out, boom. Maybe that word was sent out across the board from the prime minister and everyone else involved to, hey, like, let's get this over with, overturn that situation or whatever the case may be and get them on board. Let them, they could have reviewed, like the CMA may not be forced to like be told like, yeah, you're going to have to reverse this, but the government does have other means to go about getting it done. So maybe this is part of that. It just seems like everybody else seems to be on board. And as far as the not math thing, as we pointed out, Microsoft has on their side the fact that all these other places that agreed to their decision or agreed to at least pass it have also looked in these other markets and it's shown that cloud is only 30%, of Microsoft's Game Pass numbers, et cetera, because of Ultimate, while the CMA put it at 80%, which is ridiculous. False. Exactly.
Yeah, it's false. Yeah, 100%.
So the math is wrong, and that's going to be Microsoft's out in getting it cleared, I believe, at the end of the day. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, folks. But we're starting to get some Diablo numbers in score, and
real good.
Oh my God, it's starting to sound like this is going to be a Game of the Year contender. I got to read Jez Corden's review. I'm not going to read the whole review, but I got to read what he said because we know Jez Corden, good friend of the program, great friend of the community, and one half of the Xbox 2 podcast, folks. He has given it a 5 out of 5, a perfect score. And he says that it might be Blizzard's best work ever.
I mean, it is Jez. That's not.
I was gonna get to that, Retri. He is a WoW guy. He is a Blizzard guy. But I'm
saying he's wrong, because I'm right there. I am right there with you, Jez.
I'm going to read some of the scores that are out of Metacritic. It's sitting at a 94 right now, folks. But let me catch up on the super chats before we get over to Street Fighter and Diablo and have some fun talk there. First super chat of the day comes the way of Drawn TJ. He drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "Hi everyone. There will be no PS6." you are King David Camp, boy, and King is never wrong, so I don't know. We'll see. Darren Haywood, Darren, what's going on, brother? He drops a very generous £2 super chat and says, "Far World Pioneers just dropped into Game Pass." I don't know what that is, to be honest with you. What kind of a game is that?
It is.
Does anyone know?
Definitely an indie game.
Okay.
Let me see. Hold on. I'm sorry, my brain is completely.
No. Listen,
it looks
an
really
open world
cool,
sci-fi sandbox game. It says.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I have. God damn it! Another game.
Yeah,
I can't keep. I can't keep up.
There's a lot of shooting. There's a lot of shooting in that game. I can tell you. You can like
up
upgrade
to
your guns
32.
It
Says up to 32 friends in multiplayer. It says.
Yeah, you can also bring in other people.
Okay.
Which is pretty awesome.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have. Thanks for the update, Darren, and thank you for the generosity. Gerald Mack drops a very generous $5 super chat in all caps, folks, because he wants you to know what he's putting down. He says, "I don't care what Colin Moriarty says. Xbox exclusives matter. LOL. Shout out to Double Barrel Gaming and panel. Salute to you, Gerald. Thank you so much for that." Drawn TJ drops an additional $2 super chat and says, "The CMA thought Xbox would drop the deal. I guess. I mean, this isn't $400 million Giphy deal for Facebook, folks. This is a nearly $70 billion deal."
Yeah.
And the ramifications specifically for Xbox isn't Call of Duty. It really isn't.
I don't think they thought that. I don't think they thought Microsoft would drop it at all. This is too big of a deal for Microsoft.
It's too big of a deal.
Yeah,
I think that if you, again, we've been talking about this for over 14, 15 months now, and the big play here is mobile. I think Microsoft gets their foot in the door. They're going to really challenge Google. They're really going to challenge Apple. And like I said, I think that we are months away once the deal is announced from Microsoft announcing there's going to be Game Pass for mobile. It's going to be $5. I'm telling you, folks. I literally gave them $1 billion idea, and I'm not going to get any credit for it. Not even a job offer, for that matter, from Microsoft. But if I were Microsoft and I wanted to make a splash in mobile and get people to pay $5 so you can get your bonuses for all the games that are a part of King, that's what I would do. And I'm no marketing manager.
I agree with you, Boom, but that ain't, in my opinion, that will not happen until they can get an actual storefront, because they'll just be giving all that money
that's
away
true.
to Apple
That's
and
true.
Google.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
Because supposedly they're working on it, though.
That's the rumor.
Yeah, they're working on it, but that store's got to open in multiple countries for that to be viable, in my opinion.
Yeah,
because otherwise you're just giving it right back to the duopoly, essentially.
Yeah,
but I think it could be a thing. I have no doubt Microsoft wants to do that, and that's their end goal. But there's a lot of things that have to change with that duopoly for that to be economical.
It's true. Well, we're gonna see. First of all, we got to just cross the barrier of the deal getting approved. And like I said, if Cat does come back, and I think I'm starting to read some things about it where they're going to give them 10 days a maximum, but they don't think they're going to take the 10 days. So yeah, they're going to be scrambling. But Brett Bingham, generous friend of the program, drops a very generous $10 super chat. He says the CMA lawyer is just the fall guy. CMA just wants someone to blame for their F up. Why else hire market analysis after you get your butt chewed out by Parliament days after the block?
Yeah, they're using him to stall. I think it's furthermore, I think, proof. Oh, we don't poor us. We only had 2 days to prepare. You only had 2 days to learn the case.
Well, they also had plenty of weeks since the block to know that Microsoft announced the same day they were filing appeal.
Within an hour.
Yeah,
within an hour, it was already out there. It's like, come on, man.
We also have two other super chats came in before we get into what Jez Corden and many of the industry is saying about Diablo 4. He's drawing TJ drops a $5 super chat and says, "I say the deal gets done in 2 weeks because they will close over the FTC." Well, yeah, there's no doubt about it. If Cat doesn't send this back, which it doesn't appear, folks, and this is just me. I could be 1,000% wrong, and I'd be more than happy to come out here and tell you, folks, I got it wrong because it happens. I'm not infallible. I have a strong suspicion, and this is like a very complete package that I'm trying to sell you, folks. First of all, Microsoft has the numbers. They have the evidence that proves the CMA was wrong, right? So immediately the case is going to be thrown out to the, the CMA is going to lose with Cat. But I think no one here has said it yet. Before we move on, I do want to get everyone's hot take on this. Umbra, because of the political pressure from Parliament and the Prime Minister and everyone that's involved in UK government, if the Cat goes and says, listen, what they can't prove what they put out there, they were wrong, I don't think Cat sends it back to the CMA to fix it. I think they're going to be like, well, the console SLC harm, the console harm, that's been, you took it off the board, so we're not even going to go back there. You said that there was harm for cloud. If they disprove what the CMA is saying, and it sounds like it just from the first hearing, there's no reason to send it back. I think this deal gets done from the Cat.
So the hearing just ended.
Possible. Yeah, go ahead.
The hearing just ended, and it looked like they've delayed it to the 12th. I think was the last date they settled on.
June. Okay.
Of June, yeah, and they
for another
about,
hearing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it was really funny actually because the judge was like, "Okay, here's what you need to have," and he was laying it out like a homework assignment.
Right.
He was basically like he was getting into the details of it. Like, hey, when you come back with this draft of what your actual problems are, like it needs to be numbered, it needs to be this. Like he was basically doing the 12-point Times New Roman double space.
Wow.
Like he was like. He was laying it out like an English teacher because these people didn't show up prepared, like they didn't have their homework done, and it's really funny. Like everyone in the courtroom was laughing at them.
Embarrassing. That's just an embarrassment.
Yeah, I think though, Boom. Yeah, to your point that it could be a case where Cat, and we know that there's some specific cases where they can rule on it. I don't know how this would work at the UK though. It all seems tricky to me the way it works over there versus here, where the judge could just say, hey, no, we don't agree with you. We agree with this other person or whatever, maybe this company, and we're going to pass it. It still seems to be the case from what I've talked with Luke, that it will be a case that it's going to be passed back to the CMA to correct their math and come up with another fair assessment. So I don't know how that will play out. I really don't.
Yeah,
I'm kind of with you on that, Umbra, too. Like that's the normal procedure. The normal procedure is for Cat to look at the investigation from the CMA and say, well, we don't agree with this part of your investigation, and they give it back. That's the norm. So if this doesn't happen, that's abnormal. You know what I mean? So
that seems to be the case. So I don't know how it'll work out.
He knows his stuff. So I kind of would think
it
might go back.
But I want to push back a little bit on that because I'm not saying that Luke doesn't. He's obviously a paraprofessional, and I appreciate his opinion. But why I say that I don't think that's going to happen at all is because of exactly what you said. This is not a standard situation we're dealing with,
right.
and Post Up has reported, and I will read it again verbatim. The Cat judge stated, "We are not trying to run a script of what we ordinarily would do. We want to get this done as fast as possible. We aren't here to do what has always been done, but we're here to make sure it's done right."
Right. And I have said multiple times, this is unprecedented, right? Like this is going to be talked about by lawyers and mergers and acquisition lawyers for probably the next 20 years. This case is going to get brought up time and time again. It could be a completely new precedent because of like what you're saying, like where it could you could be right. Like it could absolutely, the cat could just make this thing happen, right? For Microsoft, that's possible. It's just hard to ignore history, but you're right. Like it is unprecedented. There's some crazy things that are going on here. So things could be different this time, right? But we're also hearing like ABK is going to get directly involved. They're going to intervene in this too, apparently. So
well, they already did. They both filed Microsoft and ABK's
to intervene or whatever, I guess. And then judge was saying whoever else outside of ABK that wants to intervene will only have days, not weeks, to put in a statement. Meaning, probably Sony and the other guys who might want to speak their piece. You have days. You've said your piece. Shut the hell up. We need to hear from the other side, right? And at least they're giving ABK more time, it sounds like. So.
And Microsoft themselves had more time where they could have delayed it further, better yet, if they wanted to bring in what I believe they called it, witnesses and such to speak on whatever situation. But Microsoft knew that would delay it further if they did. So they're like not even advocating for that. So I think it's, the judge himself, well, they probably don't either. Yeah, to be fair. But the judge says he wants to try to get it done within a fortnight, as he put it, and that's 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, right, fellas?
Yes.
So that day you just gave us, Danny, fits into what he said, and I think they're just trying to get it done. I don't know how it'll play out, Boom. I really don't.
No,
just
none of us do. I wouldn't be comfortable one way or the other.
Weird.
I'm just saying that the
experts are arguing with each other. We got guys with 20 plus years of experience on both sides that are literally on the opposite side of this.
Sure,
that's why it's so right. So like everybody fought Foss. Like it felt like everyone was going in the same direction. And then after this happened with the CMA, you saw the split. Where guys like Luke were saying one thing, Foss was saying something else. Idis was saying another thing. Like people just completely went 50-50. So at Hogue, like all these guys, the experts that we listen to. So now my head's spinning. You don't even know who to listen to, right?
Exactly.
Like because they're saying very different things.
So, you know what I will say, guys, and Daniel, if you want to just jump in here and throw your point in a second, by all means, please do before we move on to Diablo and Street Fighter. I'm just saying that I go based. I know history, it's history, and I know things normally go the way they normally go. But if I were just looking at what happened today, it does not look good for the CMA. I will say that.
I agree.
The precedents for the CMA being right on this seem to be not being taken into account by the judges.
Yeah, so I think the big sort of split between people who were saying that the deal is going to go through and people who were saying it wouldn't, on grounds of the CMA being what the CMA is that there's like Jez and Luke were looking at the precedent of the existing CMA and saying, because of the way that this works right now, it's very unlikely because the system doesn't really work right now. Like when we were talking to Luke on the fix, he was like, he was basically saying, it's not really like fair and it doesn't super make sense, but this is sort of how it works. And that's basically what Jez has been saying on Xbox 2 as well, is like, this shouldn't be happening, but because the English government is just kind of broken right now, this is like, it's just basically pessimism. And that's why I think the way that this case has been going has been so interesting, because I think everyone's right. I think everyone is right to think the way that they think, because going based on precedent is the most normal thing in law to do, right? That's what 90% of cases are going to be. The way that this has gone, I think that this is going to have ramifications even outside of like video games, obviously, right? Because I mean, we'll be talking about this on the video game side of things, of course, because that's why we're here. But this is a situation where this is going to set a precedent for what the CMA can and cannot do, one way or the other, whether they end up blocking it or whether they get repealed, and it's more than likely going to result in the CMA having some level of change to to the way that they operate, whether it's them being more heavily regulated or I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the answers, but I do think that this is weirdly, despite the fact that it's a video game deal that probably most of the people involved in the actual lawyering of don't care much about, or know much about, as we've seen. I think it's going to set a really big precedent that's going to heavily affect future mergers of all kinds in the UK, and I think that's really exciting.
Yeah. Well, change
think
has
what-
to come, because right now, in my opinion, the CMA is a bunch of cowboys. They do what they want, they say what they want, and they have this god tier limitless power. And I think that's just bonkers. I just think that they are the fact that they have been looked upon by some, no names mentioned, as infallible and the last word. I don't know. I kind of don't dig that, to be honest with you. They got, like I said, all you have to do is look back to Luke came live on the air on primetime game and was like, I got to be honest with you, Boom, this is unprecedented. I can't believe the CMA pulled back the console harm. And I said, well, see, this is what I was trying to tell you. You're looking at this deal from glasses that you've always worn. This is not the same. You change your glasses, dude, because as much as I respect and I love Luke, I think his ideology is, if this is a standard CMA business, this is not standard by any stretch of the truth. This has far-reaching ramifications outside of video games, like Danny just said. And we're talking about government. We're talking about infrastructure. We're talking about security. We're talking about millions and millions and potentially billions of dollars being invested into a region that is now sitting literally on an island by themselves post-Brexit. So there are ramifications that go beyond, the CMA having this absolute power. And I think ultimately they haven't proven their case. They were wrong about console SLC. They're wrong about cloud. And it was proven, and they were embarrassed, literally embarrassed on this world stage today, because it was televised. If I'm the CMA, I don't know where to put my head, but I don't want to spend any more time on this. I do want to read the last two super chats. Drawn TJ, I want to finish his. He says, I say the deal gets done in 2 weeks because they will close over and Diablo 4 goes into Game Pass in July. Probably. I don't see that happening. I maybe by the fall you'll get Diablo 4 in there if they can close this deal. We will see. James Thomas drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Xbox deal with Epic for an Unreal tournament on consoles. I mean, that would be kind of cool, and I think that you could use Xbox characters as your main characters. I don't know if they're in talks to bring Unreal Tournament back. That would be kind of cool. And he says would go great on Game Pass. Yeah, it absolutely would. It'd be definitely a big moneymaker, because there's a lot of Unreal fans. And if they could incorporate characters, I've been saying this for a while, as much as I love Xbox, folks, I'm still going to beat this drum that I think that their catalog of first-party characters are incredibly, grossly underused, especially in a market where they're missing a kart racer, they're missing a fighter, and potentially a first-person shooter in Unreal Engine or Unreal Tournament. I'm just saying that, who doesn't want to run around as Master Chief or Marcus Phoenix or Doom Guy or Power Armor Guy? I mean, there's 1,000 different characters you can add in there for any of these. But again, I regress. Let's talk about Diablo 4, folks. This is apparently a very big deal. And I think it would have been so amazing if this would have launched into Game Pass. If this deal would have gotten not blocked.
I know.
Oh my God. This would have been
mic drop moment.
It would a mic drop moment. Yeah. I just, but listen, it didn't happen, so we can't cry over spilled milk. But what I can say is Jez Corden, who I unbelievably respect and I consider a friend, he just posted, I reviewed Diablo 4. No surprise there. He says it's the longest review I've ever written, spoiler free. And he goes on to say, folks, I think it might be Blizzard's best game ever. Now, again, that is coming from Jez Corden, who obviously is a huge fan of Blizzard games. He's a WoW dude. But I do want to pull up the Metacritic. First of all, let's get your take on this tidbit, Retri. Diablo 4, apparently... it's a big thing.
Yeah, as I've been saying, it should be. Yeah, I mean, on the side of Jez too, I like when people who love these types of games are the ones that are reviewing them. I think
100%.
I
that
agree.
should be
Yes.
that
Yep.
should
Yep.
be
Yep.
the
Yep.
standard. So anyone
Mhm.
saying, you know, like when I was saying earlier, like, oh, of course Jez did. I knew he was a huge fan, but I really truly believe that the people who enjoy the types of games that they review should be reviewing them, in my opinion. And anyone who doesn't like a type of game and shouldn't be touching it, just should not be touching it. In my opinion, no, some
I
people
agree with
disagree
you.
with that.
Yeah, some people
But
will argue, oh well, but it's even better if they don't play it and then they say it's good. Yeah, but what if they
I
don't?
mean,
Then you're not getting a
That's
good
that.
review.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
you
Well,
know,
yeah.
but I personally, like, Pong Soul put out a thing
Good old
yesterday.
Pong Soul,
I
who is the stand for
personally,
this game. Pong, I
yeah,
love you,
and I'm
brother.
right there with you, Pong. When I say what I think a score is gonna be, it's not the score I would give it. I think that's what people maybe misinterpret when I put out my scores, because they're usually lower than everybody else's. My opinion is this is a 95 game. I've played it 3
Yes.
times. I've maxed out all the characters. Like,
Wow,
I've
dude.
played the
Wow.
crap out of this game. I said it's probably gonna land around an 89, just because of the stigma of the Xbox tax being attached to this game. I thought there was a little stench, connected with Microsoft, so I thought it was gonna get hit a little bit. So we're getting the scores, and they are really good. PC's is lower than it is everywhere else I'm seeing. I'm having an issue too with Metacritic. It must be getting hit hard because I keep clicking on stuff, going back and forth, and
Yes.
it's like
I
the
just
scores are disappearing and then coming back. And then
Yes. Well, I
disappearing
just pulled up the PlayStation 5 one because that's the only one that would come up, and it's a 91, which is what
Okay,
I
I got
predicted.
Xbox Series X right now. It's working at this millisecond because it wasn't 5 seconds ago. It's showing a 92 for Xbox Series X with 10 critics. It was an 88 on PC with a ton. It was 42 critics, so I don't know if that's been updated. So it's pretty much sitting right where I predicted it would be. It's a freaking fantastic game, and I played it, so I know it's fantastic. Maybe this might not be for you, but I think a lot of people asking themselves, like, if I've never played a Diablo, is it gonna matter that I get? No, it's not. It's definitely not. This is like a self-contained story, and it's the first time I've seen Diablo really, really lean into a story too, which is fantastic. And this is Blizzard doing Blizzard cinematics, which is just second to none. Some of the best cinematics you'll ever see in gaming is on this game. It looks unbelievably beautiful.
All right.
But yeah, so I'm a big fan of this. Obviously, this I know I said this, but this might bump out Hogwarts for game of the year for me. I know I'll put more hours.
That's
into
not
it.
surprising.
No doubt.
Hogwarts was
No
quite a
doubt.
bit a while ago, and this is a game that you played and you maxed out every character. So I would imagine that's not a surprise. Umbra, let's get your take on this. This is one of those games right now. Again, I'm looking at it it is a multi-plat currently. It's on every system. It's on PC. It's on Xbox. It's on PlayStation. I would imagine at some point, potentially, we may see a Switch version. We don't know. I mean, obviously, Diablo 3, not as taxing, but there is something to be said about seeing the craze or the phenomenon that is Diablo 4. Whenever Diablo 5 comes out, when that could be 10 years from now, but the fact that Microsoft is going to be able to, at some point, drop something this big into Game Pass is pretty crazy, dude, to think about it.
It is, and it's even upsetting, actually. The more I think about it, the more I get upset because of the CMA. Damn you, CMA and the FTC,
exactly.
because
The
this would have been on
$70
Game
bucks.
Pass right now. You see, that's the thing that annoys me. But yeah, I think the promise of this and things like this going forward is what also just makes Game Pass undeniable. But as far as these reviews, it is crazy to see, and it's like you all said, the Metacritic is bumping all up and down because I guess the traffic or whatever. It's a 91 on Xbox, but it only has 7 reviews. And I saw earlier in the chat, I forgot who said it, but they were complaining a bit about I believe Street Fighters. Yeah, about Street Fighters meta, and they pointed out PlayStation had a higher score versus PlayStation. And that's the problem with the aggregate situation, right? Because so many people play it on PlayStation versus Xbox. Typically because PlayStation is the lead platform, which is why it is important that Microsoft gains market share and mind share and gets to that market lead situation where games will be made here first and ported to other consoles. It will solve a lot of other issues too, such as technical issues we seem to always get on this side where games perform less spectacularly, if you will, compared to the PlayStation side of things. But it's not a negative as far as a bias on Xbox. And I saw somebody else saying it earlier.
I agree with that.
Yeah, actually, Riskit mentioned it too. He actually had a tweet about it.
I disagree with Riskit on that one hard.
It wasn't a matter of it being biased there. It was a matter of it not being more people to actually play and rate it on Xbox versus PlayStation.
Yeah.
It happens every time. This isn't anything new. This happens 100%
It seems to be standard fare. I was talking about that with Everborn this morning. It's crazy how the disparity is like you'll get 60 reviews on PlayStation, you'll get 13 on Xbox.
Right. But it's just a numbers game. I mean, obviously, if you have more people playing on the PlayStation, you're gonna get more reviews through that ecosystem. Like, 100%, it just makes sense. So I mean, I don't think there's a bias really there.
Yeah, not in this situation right here. But it is annoying to see.
Hi-Fi Rush is an example of I think the bias that we're discussing here, because if you remember, Hi-Fi was an exclusive, and it had at its peak, I think it was like 30 reviews. And I'm going, wait a second, 30 reviews? How is that even possible when there's hundreds of websites?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm not saying there's not a bias. I'm with Umbra. I don't think that just the number of reviews in itself per platform is a bias within itself.
Yeah, that's the issue.
I'm not saying there's not a bias. I am definitely thinking. I know that.
There's definitely a bias, I believe, but yeah, it's the fact that as far as aggregates go, it's based off how many people played it on that platform. That's what it is, and that's why it looks so lopsided at times. But I just kind of clear it out of my head and say, listen, these many people played it on the PlayStation. They gave it a 92. That's what it is on Xbox, barring any technical issues. Yeah. It's a 92. Yeah. We just had less people reviewing it on Xbox side. That's all it is. But right now, it's neck and neck for Diablo 4. It's 92 on with 9 reviews on PS5, 91 with 70 reviews on Xbox. To me, that's exactly where I thought it would be. I put 90 to 94. So this.
You took Pong Soul's survey as well. I put 91. I put 91. So I'm close.
Here you go. If it bears out, you'll win. I mean, it's at 91, but I said 90 to 94. I think that made sense from what I played. I played I don't know how many hours, but it was a good amount of hours. Much like you, Retro, but I played with 2 people up to max. Rogue and I believe Necro for the second. And I loved it. And that's why I was telling you, Boom, I think if you'd have tried a different class, you probably would have had an even better experience at first.
Yeah.
And
who'd you pick, Boom? Do you remember?
Well, Mrs. Boom picked the Sorcerer, or the Sorcerer. I picked Barbarian. And I like the Barbarian.
From what I'm hearing, Barbarian, I mean, don't come at me, guys, but across the board, I'm seeing Barbarian as the least fun, like from all kinds of surveys. Like it's always hitting last, apparently.
To me, it's always felt that way from Diablo 2 and 3 to me. When I played them, Barbarian didn't really do it for me. But I would play it. I'm a weird guy, right? So I would play as Paladin. I would play as Paladin, and I'll be talking in the high, like super holier than thou speech. I'll be like, "Yes, I have smitten thee." I'll be talking like that as I'm playing with my friends. They be like, "Why are you doing that?" I'm like, "I'm in character. What are you talking about?"
I'm in character. Listen, I'm having a good time with this.
Yeah, you're not enjoying it like I'm enjoying it. Apparently, there's something wrong with your spirit, not me. But
oh man,
no, and I demanded that he do it like I do it, unless I'll stop playing the game with him. But no, I enjoyed the hell out of this, honestly, and it's exactly where I thought it would be, like a 90 and up. So it's crazy
that that if you think about it, guys, and it actually works out. Like, I know I'm not making excuses for Starfield being delayed, but Diablo's a life stealer. Like people are going to play this game, and that's all they're going to play. There's no doubt about it. Umbra being one of them, and he's finished a lot of games this year, like 1,000 out of 1,000 stuff. So this, Retri, I can't see you picking up anything else for quite some time.
It's going to be a problem. Community game nights. I hope you guys like this game because I'm gonna be playing it a lot. You all can play whatever you want. That's what the that's what our game nights are for. You don't have to play with me, but if you're gonna be playing with me, you're probably gonna be playing Diablo. And I love Balintone. He's got Sorcerer, Necro, Druid, Rogue, and then Barb. That's pretty much my exact order. I'm right there with you, Balintone. So that's probably what I'm doing as well.
Yeah, Mrs. Boom. She doesn't do. Maybe she'll try Druid. She's definitely a sorcerer. That's her class.
I love the sorcerer.
I like the barbarian. I'm gonna be honest with you. I get it. He's just a barbarian, but I kind of dig his stuff. Yes, sir.
I'm going to use a cheesy joke real quick. Okay.
Okay.
Is Mrs. Boom a sorcerer because she put a spell on you?
Actually, I put a spell on her because when she first found out that I liked her, she was like, "Ill," because she wasn't into popo. So yeah, so it turns out that yes, I did put a spell on her rather than her put a spell on me. Even though
you need to be the sorcerer then.
Her gamer tag, and don't come for her because she doesn't really play that much. It's Mystic Brujita at
I like that. That's a good one.
Yes, that is Brujita is obviously witch in Spanish, but that's her gamer tag, Mystic Brujita. So I mean, listen, I'm excited to get Daniel's point on this. Daniel, out of everyone, I don't see the hypeness as I do with Umbra. Yeah. I mean, is this a game for you, or it's not? You're not really a Diablo guy.
I've never been a Diablo guy. I've never played a Diablo, so that's why. It's not that I don't like Diablo. It's just that I've never touched it.
Okay. Now, has FOMO sunken in for you on this, or it doesn't normally affect you?
No, it doesn't get me at all. FOMO's just like not really a thing for me. I'm like, yeah, I'll see a lot of people doing something, and I'll be like, oh, I'm glad you guys are having fun. I'll be over here doing literally anything else. Diablo 4 seems like it's probably going to be a really good game, and there's a decent chance that I'll end up playing it, but it's definitely not going to be like a day one sort of situation for me. There's just too much other games going on right now. So we're gonna we'll find time for it at some point, maybe even next year. But it does look good. I'm excited for it. I want to know sort of what the appeal of the game is, so I might jump in for a little while.
Do you like grinding? That's
no,
the appeal.
Not even.
Yeah, this is a grind fest.
Imagine somebody saying that. You like to grind?
Do you like to grind? Yeah.
Not only do I not like grinding in games, I also don't like the way you asked me that. So we're just doubling up.
Come on, Danny.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious.
How did you say it, Retro?
You
said, "Come on, Danny. You
Come
don't like
on,
to
boy."
grind.
I need an adult.
Oh man. So all right. So okay. Diablo potentially game of the year, folks. It obviously launches this. I think it's Friday. Is that when it officially launches?
I'm playing
as far as the early release.
Yeah. Well, I know there's an early play. Yeah. Well, I mean, keeping with the game reviews, Street Fighter 6, folks. 61 critic reviews, 92 currently. That is
very nice.
Astounding.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
I didn't know what to think when I first saw Street Fighter. I was like, "Oh my god, this is so far removed." Making your own character and stuff.
When I first saw it, I was like, "Yes, this is a Street Fighter I've been waiting for."
Yeah.
I agree.
So I mean, listen.
When I first saw it, I was actually very happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, listen. Listen. If you're a fan, there's certainly we've been waiting for Street Fighter 6 for quite some time. It's crazy to me that PlayStation has marketing for all the major fighters. Like, it's just wow. It's just unbelievable. But it is what it is. They're spending that marketing money, and I look. At the end of the day, folks, two major games that are both sitting at 92s right now. Like, I don't know how you're gonna pick. I bought both. I did. I don't know when I'm gonna actually have time to play, but I'm gonna
wait on Street Fighter before it goes down in price a little bit. Like, I'm not a huge fighting guy, but this one looks phenomenal.
This looks just freaking unbelievable. I thought about it after a while. I was like, yeah, create my own character. I'm definitely gonna do somebody with a mohawk for sure. I don't know if he's gonna be as I could ever reach the level of a Street Fighter character. As you know, I put a picture of my week 4 Pilates, folks, and every day they're working on that core, man. Oh my god, I am screaming at the end of it, but it's worth it. It's worth it. But I do want to talk about the Xbox Showcase, folks. This one has a lot of people scratching their head, a lot of people asking some questions. A good friend of the program who now follows me, so shout out to Klobrille, who does this almost every year. He put out his prediction list. And I kind of want to see what the community. First of all, we got 800 people here, which is crazy. Like, I can't believe how much growth the channel has gotten in the last couple of months. I remember there was a time, folks, where we barely got 100 people in the chat. So I cannot thank you enough. If you are new, we are literally almost at 12.5 thousand view subscribers. We're trying to hit 13K. Yeah, if I got 12 million subscribers, that would be ridiculous. I'd be on the top of the list for YouTube, but I'm happy with nearly 12.5. If you're finding the channel for the first time, I do ask you consider subscribing. We do this normally 5 days a week. Yes, I did not stream yesterday. Mrs. Boom was off from work, so we decided to kind of just have a nice chill day. And we played Animal Crossing, watched a couple of movies, had some nice lunch, and just took the day off. I kind of felt weird too. Like I'm constantly running at 100 miles an hour. So I felt like I didn't know what to do with myself. I like doing this, but I do want to, I got to read the list, folks. I want to get the panel's opinion. I want to get the chat's opinion. Now, obviously, Sony's show was terrible. They showed 30 plus games, and it was awful. It was, what can I say? Spider-Man saved the show from an F to a D. Spider-Man looked phenomenal. It really did.
I know on that actually.
What's that?
Can I jump in on that actually? Because Spider-Man looked really good. Because I've never felt less confident that game's actually going to come out this year. The fact that we got to the end of this showcase,
that's a fair point.
And
there was no release date.
A solid release date is like, if I said this on the fix, and if I had made a bingo card for this showcase, the free space would have been, we'll get a release date for Spider-Man, and we didn't get that. And then you look at it, and it does look really good, but there were definitely a couple of like little technical foibles in the background and stuff. And it's like, first, I mean, that never shows up in a PlayStation showcase. They will bullshot right over that. They will paint it away. And it's starting to make me feel like, man, I don't know. Like, I hope it does, because it's the only thing they have this year. And I really want to play it. But I cannot confidently say that it's still going to come out this year. And that's not good.
You're not wrong for answering the question, because I think most people walked away, besides the show being considered to be very, very un-Sony-like. Like, I mean, I don't know. Did anyone see that compilation of that someone put together? Was the fan reaction was so hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I watched it 3 times because I couldn't stop laughing. It was funnier.
It was made funnier with King's reaction, laughing.
King's reaction in that video was nothing short, because King has a very, very vibrant.
I love when he was
laugh.
talking. My favorite part when he was talking to Parappa the rapper. He's like, "Did you think they did good, Parappa? That's not the Sony that I know." I was dying.
If he would have said something like, "Well, it'll be all right. You just gotta believe," I would have probably cried right there. The show was it definitely was un-Sony-like, and just because we all know that they're single player focused typically, so that's why the fans were so taken aback. It's like, what is all this multiplayer gibberish you're showing us with all these gas titles? Even though they knew that they were going to do it, my point of contention was that I think they showed too much of it all at once. As far as the gas titles,
that whole sequence,
and it was all CGI too. That didn't help either. And then there was no release dates. Like all of the, even with Spider-Man, there's no release date. It's like, like none of that really inspired faith for the future, right?
That's Jim Ryan's future. See, I don't think people realize it just yet. I think what you saw, and not to poke fun at PlayStation, but I think what was on display there was Jim Ryan's PlayStation future. I think that, remember, we got that story the other day about only 2 first-party games per year moving forward. I think that if you are a diehard Sony looking for a 2022 with 4, or like a 2018 or a 2019 where they just had killer first party titles.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the Jim Ryan way. I think what you saw on display was the Jim Ryan PlayStation moving forward. I mean, I could be wrong, but
you know what else?
No,
you know what
you're
else
right.
was surprising too? Typically with Sony, you'll see a lot of money headed, major third party games. Right now, you only saw what's the Final Fantasy 16.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it seems like Square. Well, we know Square has kind of been in the back pocket of Sony for a while, so we're used to that. But I think the thunder was let out of them. Any thunder they had for Metal Gear.
Foam Stars too.
Oh,
So like,
that's true.
Oh, God.
They do
really
have
rolling
Foam
in it.
Stars,
Really
soon to be
enjoyed
Game
making
of the
fun
Year.
that one.
Oh man, we cringed. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I watched
I was like, this
cringed.
is the biggest Splatoon ripoff with bubbles.
Yep.
I cannot
on the
believe
back.
they're
Even the
running around with
PlayStation
super
guy
soakers.
said that live.
Splatoon
while they
at
were watching
home.
it, they said that.
Yeah, no, and like Valentine said, and then Tommy said, "What about the GT trailer?" That was funny too.
Oh, God, yeah.
If you see people's reaction during it, I was like, "Dang!" But no,
I have not a topic. I'm going to make a quick statement here. I kind of wonder, and I've been hard on Microsoft's marketing game, but I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, folks. I've given them the business because I think that not getting a zeitgeist title to be attached to your brand, like a Marvel IP, like a Star Wars IP, like a Hogwarts or Harry Potter IP. I kind of wonder if they were like, we're passing on all of this because we got, and they went out and got, because we know that they have a great relationship with 2K. We know they have a great relationship with Strauss.
you're thinking.
Could you imagine at the end of the show, the one last thing, even though I don't like the third party thing, that is GTA 6? I mean, that would
GTA
literally
6. I said
break
GTA
the
6.
internet.
It would be huge. I wouldn't hold my breath on it, but it would be huge.
No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I'm
that
not.
would
I'm
be
not a betting
ridiculously
guy.
huge.
So
Yeah, I mean,
And
it would be
would've
crazy if
costed
it happened.
them hundreds upon hundreds of millions.
Oh yeah,
of dollars.
yeah. Unless I guess it's just marketing. I think too, it kind of
Yeah.
shows the
well,
limitation.
they wouldn't get an
of-
exclusive on it or put it in
Of
Game
course.
Pass. I'm saying that
Yeah,
just get the
marketing would cost
on
them.
it.
I
yeah,
still
if
think
they got
that
the
would be
marketing, they
hundreds
could
of millions.
absolutely do the marketing.
Oh, yeah.
We know that for a fact.
Yeah.
I think too that goes to show Sony. I think the little coffers they've had, maybe they run out a bit on that where they can't afford to
Funny
had
you
as
feel
many
that way.
studios as they want. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
used to. Maybe that's a bit of that too. I think, and I know they have billions still. Like it's not like they're broke or something, but they're not Microsoft rich, right? So maybe Microsoft has been doing more than we were led on to believe, and making sure all these games are multi-plat. Because again, Metal Gear Solid was that kind of, I think, the thing they had in the feather in their cap. But because it's been rumored for years, and now we finally see it. And then before the show even happens, all the insiders let us know it's going to be there, and it's multi-plat. So when it was shown with the little CGI thing, it was a very weird CGI trailer, by the way. But when it was shown and you see Snake, it's like, okay, hey, well, we knew you would be here, so all right, And we didn't see what the game looks like in gameplay or nothing. We didn't know when we have no idea when it's releasing, and again, it's on Xbox. So everything we saw, like 12 of them were Xbox bound. That took a lot of the steam out of Sony's conference, on top of seeing all of these gas titles.
That tweet that IGN stole.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. Took out the
I've
Xbox
never
logos.
felt so proven right, so justified by a showcase before. Because what did I say exactly a week ago today?
I was thinking that too, Daniel. I'm like, Daniel's literally the only person I know who actually kind of called this out.
I was like, PlayStation is having a first-party problem, a major first-party problem. The last year, the only games they had were delayed from the previous year. This year, all they have is Spider-Man, and at this point, I don't even feel confident that that's going to come out. Like, it's like 50-50 at this point. We just got this showcase. We do not know if we're going to get another showcase anytime soon. We don't know if we're going to get it next year, because that's the precedent that PlayStation has set. And all this copium has come out of like, oh, well, they're going to show up at Summer Game Fest. They're going to show up at Gamescom. They're going to show up at TGS. It's like, when have they ever shown up at TGS? When have they ever shown up at Gamescom? There might be one game that says Summer Game Fest, and I'm going to be honest, if there's a good one there, I'm going to be genuinely a little mad that it wasn't in their own showcase.
Agreed.
The showcase was awful.
Yeah.
Right?
It is weird though, because they did have a lot of stuff that a lot of people thought should have, like, obviously, like, Factions probably canceled. Like
Yeah.
Death Stranding 2, where was that?
yeah.
Rise
And the
of the
whole
Ronin,
Bungie of it all
KOTOR's
is
probably
something else
canceled,
that we need
Silent
to
Hill
talk
2.
about
Like it goes,
maybe at a later date.
And
Where
this-
it's like apparently Bungie's
what's
been
Ben
going in
Studio
and like maybe
doing?
canceling
Like
games.
what's Santa Monica doing? Like you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
We don't
Sucker
have any
Punch.
idea
Where
what any
was
of them.
Sucker Punch? Like
Yeah.
there was a lot missing from first party IP from that show. Where the frick was Twisted Metal from Firespray? Like
But-
there was a ton of stuff. So I can understand
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, is it going to show up? But it just makes me think, to your
Two
point,
other
Daniel, that this
things.
stuff is that much further out than we could have ever possibly imagined. Maybe
We
You
don't
what I'm
know.
saying?
They have one game coming out this year. We have nothing for next year after this showcase, right? And we don't know when we're going to hear from PlayStation again. I assume if Spider-Man does come out late this year in the fall, that we'll get a state of play somewhere, because they have to. If they just announce the Spider-Man release date in a tweet, I will be livid. Right?
No
They
way.
might.
Yeah,
They
no
very
way.
well might. But I would be upset about it. Like, we will almost certainly get a Spider-Man state of play at some point. That's the only thing that I think you can actually put money on as like that's going to happen this year. Everything else, it's just hope, right? People are coming out here and they're like, oh yeah, PlayStation's going to show up here. They're going to show up there. They're going to buy CD Projekt Red. They were holding back. Like there's
I
all
love
this.
that one.
There's all this like copium that's been
Excuses.
thrown around because
Uh-huh.
of how bad this showcase was.
Yeah.
And it's like this one showcase has done so much damage. Not like, oh, PlayStation's going to die, because they're fine, right? They're making tons of money.
Yeah.
Like that's not what I'm saying. But they've done damage to the idea of like, what is PlayStation? Because now you've got all these people, you've got big name PlayStation content creators being like, I don't want these games. I don't want these gas
Mhm.
games. Like, this is not why I came to PlayStation. You've got people
Yep.
being genuinely really upset about it because they didn't balance it out in a good way. You can add these gas games, but you need to show that you're still doing these person games, first party games that
Yep.
they know and love. If you had shown all of these gas games, but then also you just had like Wolverine there, or you had the next
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima or whatever,
Mhm.
we wouldn't be talking about this.
It's so true.
Right? Even if it was just a CG trailer, which is all you gave us for the gas games anyway, so I don't know why we're here. But if you had just done that, we wouldn't be talking about this, because that's what PlayStation does. That's what PlayStation is known for, is just showing a 2-second cinematic for a game that people know will be good, and then not saying a year, and then it could be like 5-6 years from now, and it doesn't matter because people know like, oh, the next thing Naughty Dog is working on is going to be good. We don't know that for Haven. We don't know that for Firesprite, who's doing the Concord game that looks like apparently a PvP Starfield clone or something. Like that's what it kind of looks like in the trailer.
Yeah, some
there
type
was
of
a burger.
sci-fi
with
game.
with the
I don't know what
jiggly
I was supposed to
hamburger.
get out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chicken
And
hamburger.
it's like,
Yeah.
It's like, will those games be good? Maybe, but we don't know these studios. We don't. There's no faith that we can put
Yeah.
behind these names and know like this is going to be good. Naughty Dog,
They
we know
don't. They
that.
don't have the
Insomniac, we
pedigree
know
of
that.
these other studios. That's
Yeah.
true.
Like,
I'll also add too to that on top of it, it looks like an identity crisis for them. On top of what you're pointing out, but also
Yeah.
the games that they did show, outside of them not giving any release dates for Concord being 2024. That's the only one we do know for
Mhm.
sure. Is
That's the
2024.
only one. Yep.
Phantom Blade Zero, which we were all like, "Ooh, that looks so good."
yeah. And
Come
then
to
it comes
find
to-
out,
That's
that
a
wasn't even
mobile
gameplay.
game.
Not just
Yeah.
that.
it's not gameplay.
It wasn't
it's a
even
sequel to a mobile
gameplay.
game.
That was in-engine action that they showed us, that they animated themselves and made it look like it was gameplay.
Well, that's the first I heard of it, and that really sucks because that
Yeah,
was
took
high
all
on my
the-
list.
It was
That
super high
just-
on my list.
that
I was
just took-
advocating for Xbox. I'm hitting Phil up on Twitter like he's my buddy. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
brother, you gonna get this on Xbox? Come to find out, not only were there only 3 people working on it at some point, it has come from a mobile team, which
It's a
doesn't mean
mobile
that they
team, right?
doesn't mean it can't turn into something good. That doesn't
Right.
mean that necessarily.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it doesn't inspire confidence in it. But it was an in-engine
The one
film
thing
thing. It
and
wasn't
that
even
is
real
what I
gameplay.
praised it for. That pisses me off, dude. That is
Mhm.
what I got tricked. Okay, I didn't even know this, so that's news to me, Umbra. That
Yeah.
was one of my main games. I was like, wow, this mobile team's coming out hitting hard. I'm like, look at that combat. It looks so good.
Right.
What
Come
the
to find
F?
out, it wasn't even real. Wasn't
It
even real
wasn't
gameplay.
real. I've been duped. I'm gonna circle that one. Come back.
So now
and
all you
attack
have to
that
look
game later.
So now all you have to look back at is Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 was the only first party game that they actually showed gameplay.
It was
for,
literally
outside
it
of
was only 4 of them,
Helldivers
and that was the only
2.
one they showed.
Yep,
Imagine
Helldivers 2 and
third
Spider-Man
party's
2.
gone.
Only games.
Imagine third party's gone. They got 4 games, dude. 4 games. It's gonna. Oh my god. Xbox is minimum is gonna double, maybe triple that on first party
No,
side.
no question.
Like-
Matter of fact, if you go back to past conferences, they've shown at least double-digit first party games every time in Microsoft's conference.
Yes, that's true. Someone
Yeah.
did point that out. I saw on
They
Twitter.
showed a ton, even in the 12-month one, right? Like they showed genuinely, because I know this is where the conversation is going to go. Is like, what does Xbox need to do to beat this showcase? And I don't even
Show
like.
up apparently.
Yeah, they could put on that 12-month showcase that a bunch of people didn't like from last year, and it would be better than this one. That's not what they should do or what they're going to do. It's going to be, I think, even better than
agree with
that.
that.
So
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
have to agree with that.
damn.
Yeah, well, look, you know what? You know, again, I love how we go off the cuff here, folks. So if you're enjoying the conversation, please hit the like button. But I do want to bring up Klobrille's list. Now, mind you, this is first party only. He has 15 titles here. This is his list. He does this every year. This is not third party. This is not second party. This is not indie. This is his thoughts and predictions to what Microsoft is going to show. Obviously, he has Starfield full demonstration. That's going to be done on a separate event. We know it's going to be about 20 or 25 minutes after the Microsoft conference. He has Forza Motorsport presentation, full release date, full demonstration at Forza Monthly, which is supposed to happen afterwards. This is where I I know this show isn't for me. It's not for Boom. It's for a wide audience. He has Age of Empires 4 console release and release date, Age of Mythology Retold PC release date, and Aura History Untold PC release date. I mean, I guess that type of game is popular with a lot of people. I'm not a big RTS dude, so it doesn't mean anything to me. He says he goes on to say for number 6, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 gameplay and release date, which I would imagine could be in the fall, which would be awesome. Halo Infinite Season 4 trailer, Sea of Thieves Season 10 trailer, Minecraft visual update with ray tracing, Contraband trailer, new Xbox Game Studios announcement 1, and he has that could be from Compulsion, Double Fine, In Exile, World's Edge, or Stoic, or Kojima, or Brass Lion. He also has that happening for number 12, which is going to be
So he's saying
another
2 of those
announcement.
studios.
Yeah, I agree. He goes on to say that for 13 and 14 exclusive announcements and reveals for back-to-back of either Avowed, Fable, State of Decay 3, Perfect Dark, or Everwild. Yeah. And on number 15, he has surprise slot for a returning fan favorite IP. I go first to Danny on this. Yeah. Danny, does this sound like a winning show to you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If this turned out to be true, and of course, okay, I know that because this is Klobrille, people are going to be like, "Oh, this is the leaked list." It's just his predictions.
He says it in there. It's his personal prediction.
Yeah, Klobrille, even if he knew things about the showcase, he wouldn't tell people.
He wouldn't reveal.
That's very much his attitude. Is he doesn't like to spoil those sort of things. He will leak things from time to time, but not showcases. He specifically says that a bunch. So these are very much just him like thinking this is what's
so
likely. Yeah. With that being said, I know that there's some things here that are not going to make people happy. That I think are pretty likely to be in there, like the Sea of Thieves things in the Halo Infinite season. Mm-hmm. Like people probably don't really want to see that, but we're also going to have 90 minutes, so I feel like you can stick those in there and not really distract too much.
Yeah.
The PC stuff, yeah. I mean, I'm here for RTSs, but I don't know that many people are. Like Age of Mythology is one of my favorite games of all time, so if that's getting thrown in there, I'm golden. And yeah, if this is in there on top of whatever third-party deals, like we're hearing about, maybe some Sega partnerships still going on with Persona 3 Remake or Jet Set Radio, or all that
might be there as well.
That's what I'm thinking.
Like, if this is just the first-party stuff, even this is like a Year of Dreams situation. Like, I don't necessarily see this exactly happening, but if it does, we're golden. Like, like this can't be beat by anybody. Even if PlayStation had put on one of their normal shows, this would still be at least in the ballpark, if not better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I like what you're putting down. I think that when you consider a 90-minute show, folks, and we remove Starfield from the conversation, we know that's going to be its own thing, and you get Forza, you get Senua, you get Contraband. Right, you get 2 new announcements from Compulsion Games, which is expected to be there. The other one that's rumored to be is the new In Exile game that's supposed to be the steampunk first-person shooter. That is supposed to be revealed. Again, it's just rumor, folks. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
And then on top of what I just said, you get exclusive updates to Avowed, or Fable, State of Decay, Perfect Dark, or Everwild. You get 2 out of those 5. That's what he said. And actually, Jez and Rand thought the same thing, that you would get 2 out of those
the elusive 5.
The elusive 5, as Rand called it. And then a surprise slot for the end for returning fan favorite, potentially Killer Instinct 2. From Bandai Namco. This is
cool.
what would be. I'm falling out of my chair live on camera if that happens.
Hopefully it doesn't come out this year though, because we're already full up on fighters.
It would be. I would imagine probably next year, because you're right. We are. I mean, you have Tekken. You have Street Fighter. There's so many fighters out this year. Mortal Kombat. Yeah, absolutely.
I would hope it, if it is Killer Instinct, that they put the proper budget behind it to give it the oomph it needs.
If Bandai Namco is doing it, I would imagine they're going to get the budget.
I hope so.
Yeah,
because Killer Instinct, when you look at the previous one, I mean, it's a good game, but the problem is the budget is not strong, so it doesn't compare when you look at other titles in that same era, And now you look at some of these games, they're using Unreal Engine 5, like Tekken, and you got Street Fighter.
Your favorite. Yes, Unreal should be your middle name, Umbra. I'm just saying.
Infinite Unreal Engine number. No, but yeah, like all of these games are looking super gorgeous. I want Killer Instinct to look the same way and have the same, budget, not the same, but a good budget behind it, where they can produce good cutscenes and all of that type of stuff, of story elements and all of that as well, animation, everything. So, yeah.
Well, let's get your take on the list, Umbra. Is this a solid list? Could this be the year of dreams for Xbox, in your opinion?
His list is solid, but I'm going to be honest, it didn't wow me.
Okay, so what would you? Because I'm interested. I mean, we have plenty of time to get into this. What comes out and gets put in its place for you?
I would remove Aura. I would remove. Well, Age of Empires 4 is slated to release this year too, so I could see that being there. So I wouldn't remove that. Is Aura even first party, or is it like second party or third party?
It's second party.
Yeah, I would not put that there personally. But then again, that's my bias speaking. But I want showstoppers. That's the way I look at it when it comes to these types of shows. I figure he also mentioned, Sea of Thieves and all that. I know Sea of Thieves. I know that ESO. I know they bring in money, so I can't put those out of there. I just think and hope that if they do, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because it's like they're a known quantity. So when it's a known quantity for a showcase, I get a little like, we don't need to see that, right?
It sounds like somebody got spanked at Sea of Thieves a couple too many times.
Well, sure, I will. Hey, the Kraken got me. The Kraken got me. I didn't get robbed like Boom did, though. Boom got robbed.
You don't know that the Kraken didn't rob
you. Give it time, you'll get robbed.
Right. But when I see those types of games that they're known quantities, we know all about them. I don't like to kind of see them at showcases that way.
I agree.
But I get it. Like, those are money makers. They have to show it. So I do hope that if they do show those, even Aura, I hope they don't waste a lot of time on them. I'll say that. What I would hope to see would be give me gameplay and release dates for most of these. But I can understand if you don't have it for all. Show me Fable. Yeah. Show me Avowed.
Avowed is locked. You don't even need to worry about that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
No way. Avowed is one.
Avowed is locked. I'm pretty sure.
Of course, I was saying
Hellblade 2
PlayStation Showcase that didn't show up, so anything's possible. I guess.
Also true.
Yeah, Hellblade 2. I'm pretty sure is a lock. Contraband. Show us that. Show us Tanaka, Project Tanaka from Certain Affinity. At this point, we should be seeing what it looks like. Tatanka. I'm sorry.
Tatanka. Yeah.
I'm thinking
it means
Tatanka.
buffalo.
I even spelled it right in the thing, but then said Tanaka out loud. But yeah, Tatanka. Show us that. And if they have Starfield locked at 60. For that part, I think that's a major W right there, and I still stand by that. I think they will land at 60. As far as the game that from a franchise that we've already like a fan favorite, or whatever, I know somebody like Klobrille would like a Conquer. I liked his pitch for it too, for his Conquer game. I liked his pitch for it, where he got to go through all these different universes in the game, universes rather to save gaming. I thought that was pretty dope, and that would actually be pretty cool.
That sounds like a winner to me, man. Hire that guy to write the script.
And if they actually played into that and allowed, a mascot type character to go into the Halo or to go into
Halo, he's got his butt out for
Diablo
some
or
reason.
something like that. Yeah, to go into all these different universes and actually, have elements of that where you have to play through it. That would actually be pretty dope. I think of like something like the Plucky Squire or how it handles all these different areas and genres you going through as far as gameplay elements. I think they could do that with Conquer. That'd be pretty dope. I would actually give something like Brute Force a chance again, but with a real competent team
I
on
know.
it.
Phil does not like that game. I love that game.
I
I'm not gonna
liked
front.
it. I thought it was fun.
I did not like Brute Force before, but I think the problem with it was a lot of things actually. But I think that if you, but I think that is something that you could rebound from because I think that the premise of it was dope. So give that actual good solid team, work out something nice, get good visuals on it. Because it's a third person actioner. If they allowed the coalition to work on it, for instance, and you got the third player, 3-player co-op thing going, I think the coalition can turn in something spectacular with that license, with that IP. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but that's far reaching. I saw somebody online say 2 Human. I thought, yeah, that would actually be pretty dope if they actually gave 2 Human another try. And gave that to a capable developer.
I beat that game. I loved it. I loved every second. I know that game got a lot of flack.
It did.
And a lot of stuff wasn't delivered, but
yeah. But that would be one. That was what was that? Karnak, I think that made that, right?
Carmack, yeah.
Carmack. That would actually be pretty dope because the theme of it is really dope. And I think if you gave that to a really capable team, put it in a really great engine, Unreal, possibly, and have them actually work out something with that could be a dope, I think, IP going forward. But I don't know. I don't know if his list, when it's mentioning a returning favorite, I don't know if that's a necessary thing of what they're going to do. But I would say if that's the case, I would go to some of these games like that. I know people might say what Mech Assault or something like that. They might say,
yeah,
Mech Assault was.
You stole my answer.
Yeah,
that's my answer.
There you go. Well, it's not mine. I'm just throwing out there. I'm pretty sure that somebody would mention.
I got one that we haven't heard from in a long time. If you play it now, it still looks dope. Crimson Skies.
That's another fan favorite. Yeah.
Freaking phenomenal OG Xbox game.
Oh, and there you go. Then it's Diac. That's right. Thank you, Dustin. That's right. It was
Diac. Right. It was Diac. Yeah. Def Leppard says Blood Wake 2. Blood Wake was actually kind of cool, to be honest with you. Twisted Metal on.
No idea what that is.
I don't think I've
Yeah,
played
it's
that
well
one.
before your time, brother. I'm sorry.
It was probably bad then. Nothing good happened before I was around. Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much set in stone.
So I mean, listen, it's for me. I kind of feel where you're coming from, Umbra. Sometimes we have to take ourselves out of what the show is for me, right? Like for me, I don't have Age of Empires 4, Age of Mythology, or Aura. I personally wouldn't have that in the show, but the show isn't being tailored to me. It's being tailored for every Xbox fan, whether you play on PC or on console. And Danny was very excited because he's like, I'm a huge Age of Mythology fan.
That's all about me.
There you go. So I mean,
like
for him,
one of the first games I played, so it's probably mostly nostalgia, but it's fine.
No, and that's great. I mean, like for instance, I say I get booed from Colt Eastwood all the time every time I bring up not Conquer, Banjo. He's like, no, we don't need a banjo. We Colt. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, Colt doesn't care for banjo, does he?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
Yeah.
And I love Colt, but that's where we differ. I feel that it's time for a new one. So for me,
well, Zelda stole the nuts and bolts mechanic, so I guess it's time to bring it back.
Yeah, that nuts. I tried it recently, and nuts and bolts was just terrible.
No, it
was a terrible banjo game, just awful. I tried to play it, folks. I gave it the old college effort. Let's bring in Retri over here. Retri, I could read the list again if you need it, or
no,
you can
I'm staring at it.
What? I mean, is this a Year of Dreams list for you?
I kind of, I think Klobrille's list is. I think his list is really good, actually, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of Age 4, for me, that's pretty cool that will be coming to console. I know that's probably a lot of people might not care about it, but I think that could get a lot of people into those types of games. Personally, Forza is given, like having the full release date, demonstration, the full gamut. Obviously, Starfield. I don't Age of Mythology and Aura. I haven't played those games, so. And looking at them, they don't really move the needle for me too much. Senua's Saga feels obvious. Like, I mean, they were debating if it's coming out this year, so clearly it's going to be their gameplay and release date. Halo Infinite, I definitely see. I don't want to see all this stuff necessarily, especially like Sea of Thieves, but I could see like Halo Infinite, ESO, Sea of Thieves, the new season trailers coming out. What I want to see and what I think is the big question mark is Tatanka. A lot of people do not think we'll see Tatanka. I think maybe there's a small snowball's chance in hell. I just really want to see it. It's probably not going to happen. I just want to see what Tatanka is really bad. It wouldn't surprise me if Microsoft does the visual update for Minecraft, the ray tracing. That rumors just started circulating all over again that might be happening. That is a long time coming. That wouldn't surprise me. Hopefully that's like 30 seconds of them mentioning it and they move on. Contraband I can definitely see, but these other slots down here near the bottom of his list, obviously I definitely think Avowed is being showed because I think it's coming very soon. I absolutely think we're going to see something from Fable. For me, that's kind of definitely happening. God, please show Fable. And I think we will see State of Decay 3 in some form. A Perfect Dark and Everwild, those are, in my opinion, big time like question marks
I wouldn't expect
behind them.
Everwild.
I don't expect. I agree. I would probably expect Perfect Dark before I would expect Everwild personally. Some of this, I love the brute force one. That's so funny. I feel like I thought I was the only person on planet Earth who liked that game, but I know you were kind of dumping on it a little bit, but I actually enjoy brute force. So I guess sometimes I like awful games. I mean, I just played Redfall.
I remember having played it just because I wanted to get that Halo beta. I believe it was tied to it or something like that.
Oh,
There you go. For me, I would like to see outside of his list too. I have a feeling Jet Set Radio is showing up at this show.
This is just first party, and that wouldn't.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I'm going beyond his list, so I'm done with his list. So I personally think Jet Set Radio is gonna be there. If you're talking about like returning IP, I know Umbra mentioned I would like Mech Assault. I know that's in licensing, and whoever owns it, hell. But someone also mentioned Ninja Gaiden, which I know won't happen because
I think that's just
they're working on other stuff. But God, I
think that's getting thrown around more because of the rumors with Itagaki. But he wouldn't be working on it right now. That would be something that
exactly
see for a while.
Right. I think it will happen. I think that's very many years from now.
And
but
then one day.
Yeah, I mean, God, I hope so. It's such a great IP and a beloved IP. They should absolutely.
Part of the showcase that gets me really excited actually is hearing from people like Jez and Klobrille and all these other people that they've really locked down their like leaks.
Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, great. I'm glad you brought that up, Dan. That's a strong point.
I don't know all of these things, and I think that's really going to help because I love Jez Corden and I 100% respect him. Leaking out all these code names and stuff, but I think it's more exciting to just completely not know things at all. Like the fact that we have sort of an idea of what Compulsion's game is, and we know about Wandering Tower, and like we know these games that have not been officially released, means that it's gonna. Some of these games, for some people, are probably gonna have the reaction of like, oh, there's that thing that I knew about. Like when did they announce this? Right. Oh, they never did.
Like Hellblade, right?
Yeah. And so there's gonna be some stuff like that, and I think that's a real bummer. But the fact that they've locked it down seemingly for the last like couple months at least, well, if he doesn't know about the showcase, don't they usually start talking about it in December? So like 6 months maybe, like they've had it locked down for a minute.
So allegedly is about 6 months, right?
I mean, we also had the tease too from the Twitter account in New Zealand of the Psycho Triple X thing that people are saying Psychonauts 3 or what I believe is actually Evil Within 3. I think it's
because it's Psycho
Either
Break
one of those
in Japan.
would have me actually poop my pants.
I think it.
yeah.
Yeah, Evil Within makes sense. I don't see
It
it
makes
being
more
Psychonauts
sense
3.
just based off of the timetable alone.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, because we know
their
Hi-Fi Rush was a
Psychonauts
small
was 2
part of
years
the team.
ago.
Yeah.
Right, and that's right.
And they
that's
got a teaser.
exactly,
They have a teaser for
right.
Evil Within 3 and Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be gameplay, but I think they could definitely. It feels like they could
Oh,
definitely
they could show a
tip their
CGI
hat
trailer that
about
set everyone
100% with Evil
Absolutely.
Within 3. I think that's very possible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about Killer Instinct 2 being shown here. That would be great. Bandai Namco would be great. I'm not trying to crush your
Boom's like, give me
dreams.
something, man. Killer Instinct,
I think-
Banjo, something.
I do think
Yeah,
KI
I think
is
they're going to
coming
drag out the
eventually.
bird and the
I just
bear on
don't
stage
know
and execute
when.
them.
Yeah.
Now, of course,
in front of
like
everybody.
future generation says Indiana Jones. Like I think, and the timing of that
that's
would
a
make
good pick
sense
too.
as well,
That's
right?
a strong pick.
Because of the film
Yeah.
coming out,
Could
so
be.
Indiana Jones should
I would
probably be
be-
shown as well. They're
Yeah,
talking
I
a
wouldn't be
lot of
surprised to get
games
some
here,
kind of teaser
guys.
for that.
A lot.
Like,
Well, I mean,
first
90
party
minutes.
Starfield, Age of Empires.
Is-
If they
Avowed,
deliver on
Fable,
half of what we
Syndicate,
expect to see, it's a major W. Let's just put it that
Hellblade.
way.
Yeah.
like
I kind of
Crazy amount of
wonder
games.
though, you know, I know there's been a ton of super chats. I promise, folks, I'm going to get to them, but I kind of wonder. Now, I'm just saying because I'm petty, and I think Umbra is petty right along with me.
Oh yes.
And I like the pettiness. Okay, I also like going for the juggler. That's just who I am as a person. I'm
too,
quiet.
yep.
I'm a gentle giant. But I like going for the juggler because it's a one hit and you're done, right? I'm wondering, guys, if we are at a point where Phil Spencer was so taken aback by what happened with Redfall, right? That, I mean, obviously you saw his responses were incredibly uncharacteristic. He was out of sorts. There's no doubt about it. I kind of wonder, guys, if Phil Spencer, and you know, he's a gentleman, but he's a businessman, right? You know, obviously, you know, right? You know, they're in third place. They want to come out swinging. Is there a world where the show is done, but they go back and say, you know what? Sony's show sucked so bad, it was so terrible that we just have to kick them in the balls when they're on the floor.
You know,
I don't know.
You know what
Mhm.
I think, Boom? I actually
do.
probably think the opposite. Sometimes I sometimes think that Phil is like, oh, well, we don't have to show this now. Maybe we can hold this off. And I hope to God that they don't do that. Remember,
Me too. I agree.
I never forget when they said we had some games we just pulled and we decided to hold back. I don't
Yeah.
want to hear that this
Well,
time.
that's always going to be the case, though. Is there's always going to be games that they're like, we could maybe show this, but it's really early or some things like that. And like,
Mhm.
because there's
Like
always,
Fable.
especially when you have this many studios and this many partnerships with other teams, like there's always going to be some things where you make the decision not to put them in there. It's not necessarily that you're like, oh well, we're gonna take this out because like we don't want you to see it or whatever. It's literally just
I hear you.
we have
on
90
that,
minutes.
but
We're not
then
going to do like a 3-hour show.
I'll point directly to Halo Infinite
Yeah.
and how that was not ready, but they showed it to us. So I feel
Yeah,
like
I mean, mistakes are made, but there's still going to be things that no matter what, every single year, there's going to be
they're going to
things that could
showcase
have
the
been
game,
shown.
though. I think at that point, what they're going to show is a vertical slice that is, you know, palatable to see. That's my point. So it's not like they're getting something that looks incomplete when they get it to show it anyway, because it's another team that typically works on what we're going to see when it comes to CGI trailers and things of that nature. That's what I'm saying. So if it's something they need to show, I don't want to hear anything about, oh, we held off.
We pulled this because.
Oh, yeah, you
I
shouldn't
don't
hear that they
Don't
pulled
tell me that.
anything
If
out.
you pulled something, don't tell me. I don't want to know.
Don't tell me anything.
But they will have pulled things because that's just how it works, right? Not because the PlayStation showcase was bad, but it's just going to be like, okay, like because they start talking about this in December and they make decisions about what's going to be shown and what's not going to be shown. And you know, I think as long as the showcase is good, that's really all that matters. But yeah, I don't think we should hear, oh yeah, well we were going to show this.
Yeah,
like,
don't tell us.
Say that.
Yeah, keep it quiet.
But that is going to have happened.
Yeah, that's true.
Realistically.
I agree with you there. I would just hope that they wouldn't say it. How about that?
No, they should not say.
Yeah,
it.
ignorance
somebody
is
else.
bliss. I'd rather be ignorant of the fact.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with you guys. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
I was going to say too. A lot of people mentioned, and I don't know how I forgot about it, but Jade Empire actually would be a great.
Holy cow!
I don't know why I didn't think of it.
I think that's still owned by BioShock, though, isn't it?
BioWare. I would
do they
imagine
own it, or does Microsoft own it?
Well, I mean, it would be EA if BioWare owned it, but I want to say EA owns it. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they
Is it-
do.
I want to look
because
really
I think
quick.
on Game Pass it's through the EA Play that it's in there. I think.
Yes, and they own
Okay.
the. I mean, they
Do you
could
guys
still make
think
a
we'll
deal with
get-
them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, who's to say that? I mean, BioWare is kind of tied up right now with Dragon Age and what that's going to be, and you know, could they? I take it.
Granny's
I
right.
honestly, I would
EA
just take a
owns it.
remake at this point of Jade Empire. I don't even need a sequel. Just give me a remake done in Unreal Engine or something.
Yeah,
That would-
hey, I'm with you on that. Now they could work out a deal with EA. To be fair,
Yeah, sure they
That's
could.
true.
That's not
Absolutely.
impossible.
EA was just saying the other day how they're like the biggest publisher on Xbox and they really value that
Mhm.
that partnership or whatever.
So they could
So-
do that. Yeah, to be fair, but EA
Ooh,
does.
I say
EA
drop the
definitely
bag
owns
for
them.
Titanfall.
And EA is
3.
not doing their own showcase
Oh,
this year,
please,
so they
yes.
could be. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe Mass Effect 4 or something. I know they said specifically Dragon Age wouldn't be there,
man.
but like they're working on other things.
I would love to see Mass Effect 4 appear in Summer Game Fest or something like that, or hell,
Yeah.
on Microsoft shows that like they have it a marketing deal or something with them. That'd be nice.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I
Someone's
think EA
bringing
is like
this up
the,
in the chat about movie trailers for Gears of Fallout, and we just gave a ton of crap for.
They are not
Gears
going to
of
do
Fallout.
that.
Do
Yeah,
you
stick those in
guys
there.
think
Don't
the
they
Fallout show
dare.
from Amazon will show up
Nope.
here? That would be
No,
funny.
it won't.
There's no way. After,
Yeah.
after
They
the
better
after
not.
the way the
If
world
that- hey,
reacted
remember
to that.
Daniel was talking about things getting
It
pulled?
won't.
I think if that
That's-
was in the show, it
they
gets
would have
pulled.
pulled it for sure. Yeah,
They better not show anything.
yeah, I wouldn't
like
put that in there. Although to be fair, I would be more interested in the Fallout show than the GT
I'm
movie.
very
but that's
interested
just
in the
me.
Fallout show personally.
That's true.
Very interested.
I
in
saw
that.
some,
But no,
I saw
don't
some
put it in the show.
screeners of that. It looks really good. It looks, I mean, like
Mhm.
very on point.
Looks
but
legit. Yeah.
let me, guys, let me just catch up on these super chats. Been quite a few of them, and then we'll get everyone out of here. We had Raiden Blade not drop one, but several super chats. First one of £5 says, reading what Foss is saying, I don't believe Cat is returning this to the CMA. Cat will approve it. CMA wants to bring in an expert, and judge says no.
Yeah,
Wow.
it definitely feels
okay.
like the judge doesn't trust them, so I don't know that the
No.
judge would send it back.
Yeah.
I hope
Unless he was, like,
a
specifically
couple more
about
points
it.
on that. That was pretty interesting. Raiden Blade drops an additional £2. Super chat says, Miss Khan, you're in big trouble. CMA lawyer use FTC a lot. He goes on and says in a third super chat of £5 says, Judge, and I'm assuming he's saying this is what the judge said. We're not talking about other regulators. We're focused on us, not others. So by mentioning the FTC, tell the U.S. government you, Khan, can have a collused. Why? I don't know if the judge said that. If he did say that, that would be unbelievable. We have JFX88 drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, no, but when Microsoft owns ABK, does having a huge third-party developer give Microsoft an advantage in console development in the future? Will they find out PlayStation 6 specs, features, date? I mean, that's a possibility. If obviously Microsoft would need to have all this information, they would have to have the information of what the specs on the PlayStation 6 were. But in the same way, Microsoft has several games on PlayStation, Minecraft, and a few others that they would obviously they would know the specs of what Microsoft is doing. I would imagine. Let's see. We have we have Gerald Mack drops an additional very generous $10 super chat and says, Cat is considering the effects on the country. It doesn't make sense to hurt your country's economy because two American companies want to merge. Bonkers. Highlander 001 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, the CMA attorney reminds me of Rick Moranis, lawyer from Ghostbusters.
so
my
true.
God.
Good
That's a really way a pullback,
funny.
but that is great. Chaos Mike drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Diablo has always tied into a story. Where have you been? I don't know who that is for. I mean,
He's
some of
probably
this
talking about me because I was saying that this one is very much more story driven cinematically.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Which it is.
it absolutely is. Libara X drops a very generous $2 super chat and says the Cat stream was more fun than the PlayStation showcase. Oh, that's slanderous, and it's true. Raiden Blade drops not one but two additional £2 super chat and says, "Look, Microsoft offered two T2 3 billion. Look, Microsoft offered Take-Two $3 billion for GTA Market." Jesus, I don't. That's a lot of money for marketing.
That's way more. That's way too much for marketing. That's like securing.
That's like buying the
on
game.
platform.
That's like getting exclusive. Yeah,
Well, PlayStation's deal apparently is that when they do the marketing deal, they like match it or something. So whatever the company that was going to market it was going to spend on marketing, they just double that. So that's sort of my reasoning for why maybe they're not doing GT6 is because I think Take-Two is probably going to put just a S load of money into marketing, and maybe PlayStation doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, no, it's true. I
agree.
I agree. Raiden Blade drops an additional £2 super chat and says GTA 6 launch first 2 weeks in Game Pass and marketing done. Yeah, I don't think they need it. They're gonna make so much money. And that's the thing. I kind of wonder if they even need a marketing deal. Like, do they need to be showcased on PlayStation or Xbox or PC? I don't think they do because it's Grand Theft Auto.
No.
I think it's gonna be. It's gonna.
Well,
sell
Rockstar doesn't need it, but Microsoft could absolutely use it.
Absolutely, 100%.
You know, if they get it where they can put the marketing and actually put their brand on their box, for instance, or
that would be so huge, dude. Mohammed Sheriz drops a very generous $2 super chat and says Phantom Liberty maybe for the showcase. I mean, it's possible. I'll be honest with you. I think that this is one of those shows, especially for Xbox, where it's just they just taking the emergency brakes off, and it's just going to be what it's going to be. I think it's going to really slap. I really do. Jordan TJ drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says Dream Showcase, keep everything in that list, but add Killer Instinct, GTA, and Splinter Cell. I've been saying for a while, for years, that they were going to do a Splinter Cell exclusive, but I'm always wrong. So there's that. But let's get
they
to
could
the
work out
outros.
something. If they could work out something with getting Splinter Cell,
dude.
They need to go back to that. Get Mass Effect, get Splinter Cell, get anything that was tied to Xbox previously. Like
worked.
That worked. Like KOTOR should have been something that they locked down.
Thank God they didn't do that one though.
Exactly.
I gave Phil some S on that, and I was wrong, and apparently it's been canceled. So that's why he's the head of what do you call gaming for Microsoft, and I'm just a podcaster.
Come to find out, by the way, it was a case that Microsoft's contention was they didn't want Aspire to be the ones working on it.
Yes, I did hear that. Yeah. They were unconfident, to say the least.
I'm actually unconfident in the team that's doing the Metal Gear Solid remake as well. If we're being honest, it's
working
Virtuous, who has done seemingly nothing. Like they're a support studio that I just don't trust them at all. And it's an internal Konami team, and the only internal Konami game that's come out recently was Survive. So I don't trust it at all.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to see, but let's get to the outros, folks, and we'll start first with Umbra. Sell your brand, brother. Talk about the fix, where they can check that out on Thursday evenings, who your co-host is, what episode you're up to, and obviously you guys crossed 1,000 subscribers the other day, live on the air. Talk about it, brother. Sell the brand. Now we got to get you to 2.
Yeah, nice to get to 2. Thank you all for who did already subscribe to us. You know, it's hosted by myself and Danny here, and like Boom said, on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern. And I'm trying to get the link to post it into the chat really quick. But yeah, I mean, you all can join us on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern. And I'm not sure what we'll be talking about this week exactly, but I'm pretty sure Diablo and other things will factor into it. I'm guessing next week is going to be even crazier because we'll have both showcases to actually talk about. Well, not both, but we'll have the Summer Game Fest actually airs on Thursday next week. So we'll talk about that later that night. We'll be one of the first to actually speak on it. So that's the cool thing.
Nice.
Yeah, man. As far as Twitter, you all can find me Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. And man, I'm looking forward to Summer Game Fest and, of course, the Xbox Showcase. I think it's going to be spectacular. I'm glad I held firm that it would be the best showcase. I was right, I think. Hopefully. Just don't show us any TV shows and stuff during it. I think we'll be all right.
At this point, I think the Summer Game Fest show is going to be better than the PlayStation one. And that's wild.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. And then just thank you all in the chat for coming through and supporting us as you always do.
Yeah, thank you, brother, for being here, being a part of the show as always. And obviously, Double Barrel Gaming is going to have you covered because right after the showcase, the Xbox showcase, and of course, followed by the Starfield showcase, we are covering, and I say we, everyone on this panel, plus a host of others, are doing an Avengers type event where we're going to be talking and reacting to the Microsoft showcase on June 11th. That evening, I don't have the specific time just yet. I got to get the times correct for what Microsoft is doing, but we are going to be doing it literally right after the Starfield event. And we're going to spend about, 60 minutes, 90 minutes discussing, whether or not the show was a flop or it was the greatest show since sliced bread. But we'll be covering you that on Double Barrel Gaming. And I'm sure that everyone is going to be doing something here, there, and everywhere, because obviously it's going to be one of the biggest showcases of the year, considering that Sony's really wasn't. Daniel McGee, let's get to talk about your channel, brother. Where could people go not only to subscribe to your content, which is some of the best long and short form content, especially if you are a comic book fan? Folks, he's rewriting the DCEU and eventually is going to get picked up by James Gunn himself. Talk about it, Danny. Sell it.
Yeah, hey James Gunn, if you're out there, you can find me at.
He watches the show. I know he does.
I'm sure he does. I've seen him in the chat a couple of times, I think. For sure. He's definitely there. You can find me on my YouTube channel of Daniel McG, just exactly how it says in this box if you're watching live. Or you can find me on Twitter at Daniel J McG. Or you can find me here every week or on The Fix every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central.
Thanks, brother. Well, listen, obviously you're doing some big things with The Fix. You're doing some big things on your channel. You got a couple of videos coming out, especially with the, would you continue your rewriting of the DCEU, and we're looking forward to seeing more about that. But yeah, folks, if you're not subscribed, come on, man, we got to get him to 1,000. He does good work and he works super hard. Drop that link into the chat. We still have 650 people here, Daniel. I'd love to see you get that as well. Michael Mooney in the chat drops, a very generous 20-pound super chat and says, all Microsoft needs to do on the 11th is show the gameplay demo, show the gameplay demos and release dates for trailers for four first-party games coming before June 30th, 2024. Then 8 virtual slice gameplay demos for first-party coming before June 30th of 2026. Yeah, I mean, we need, again, I think if we get at least half of the games that we saw in 2020, we get updates, we get gameplay trailers, we get potential some release dates, it's going to be a big win. I'm really hoping we see Fable. I really hope that we see Avowed. I really hope we get something on State of K3 and then a bunch of new stuff. I think if you could put those together in a show on top of Starfield, on top of Motorsport, on top of Hellblade, my God, do you have a freaking show. Retri, let's sell your brand, brother. Please, by all means, drop your link in there where people can subscribe to Game Pass _daily on YouTube, but more importantly, follow you on social media.
Yeah, you guys can follow me, Game Pass _daily on Twitter and Game Pass daily on YouTube, where obviously I talk about Game Pass. Surprise, surprise. And of course, I'm on the Gamers Council with Web Dave at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sundays. And we have also passed 1,000. We are now doing memberships and whatnot. So I'm excited to do that. So everything is going really well on that channel as well. So yeah, I dropped all the links to everything. And I'll drop the link to our Discord as well if you guys want to join that and game with us. We'd have a lot of fun. So yeah, thanks for having me, Boom. Thanks for coming out, chat. You guys are awesome. And I just appreciate you all so much. And I'm going to take a nap very soon.
Yeah, actually, you sound like you're running out of battery, brother. Go plug yourself in and get recharged. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for the Xbox Factor podcast. If you enjoyed your time, your 2+ hours with us, please hit the like button. If you're finding the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing. We are on the hunt for 13K, and we'd love to hit that before the June showcase, and then obviously march towards 15, which is the goal that Mrs. Boom and I had set forth. It's a lofty goal, but I think that we're doing really well with providing amazing content 5 days a week, 20+ shows per month. And all you got to do is hit the subscribe button, and we greatly appreciate it. And of course, I'm going to close out to say a big thank you to all the super chats. Obviously, they help the show more than you know. We use that money not only for prizes that we do on a regular basis, but we do obviously need support with new equipment and new programs, and we can't do that without channel membership and the very and the generosity of so many of you. So thank you so much for that. And of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me with kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.